Hi everyone, my name is Jade. I own and operate Calver & Associates Canadian Immigration Services. We're a full-service Canadian immigration firm. We offer advice on all Canadian immigration matters pertaining to temporary and permanent residency status. Today I'm going to talk about minors studying in Canada and what kind of permits they need in order to study in Canada. A minor is anyone who is under the age of 18 or 19, depending on which province they will reside in. A lot of the times my clients will ask me, does my child need a study permit to study in Canada? So this will really depend on the status of the parent in Canada. And also different provinces and different school boards have different regulations depending on the status of the parent. If your parent is a permanent resident or Canadian citizen, for the most part, you can register your minor child in elementary or secondary school without a study permit, because through you they have the ability to register in school and you don't need to show proof of status. If you are in Canada and you have a temporary status, so study permit, or you're on a work permit as the parent and your child is here, so they can go to kindergarten without a study permit, but after that they'll need to get a study permit to study at the elementary or secondary school level. If you're here as a visitor, so you cannot register your child for school if you just hold visitor status in Canada. So if you have a minor child and you're wanting them to go to elementary school, for example, and you're just here visiting Canada, they're not going to let you register because you're only here on a visitor visa, and in that case they will say you need to get a study permit for your child. Things change a little bit at the post-secondary level, and if you have a minor child. So for the most part they'll always have to get a study permit, and they need to go through the traditional route of getting an acceptance letter and then applying for a study permit. In the case where you as the parent are not in Canada at all, then you need to go through the process of actually applying for acceptance to the institution, so where the student will study, and then you need to apply for a study permit. It's important to note that with minor students, they'll need to have what's called a legal custodian, which is similar to a legal guardian, who you as the parent appoint in Canada to take care of your child and your child's needs, so act as a parent in your absence. So for example, I prepare lots of study permits for students who are attending boarding schools here in Canada. So the parents of these students will usually use a custodianship company, or sometimes the school offers these services, and they'll appoint this person as the legal custodian for the student while they're studying in Canada. And it's also important to note that if the student is from a country that requires a temporary resident visa, so they need to get both a study permit and a temporary resident visa when they're coming to Canada. So for a minor student, it allows them to study in Canada and to travel to Canada, and so they need the visa to go in and out of Canada, but it doesn't need to be valid while they're here in Canada. So as I said, some students that are 17 or 18 in some provinces are still considered minors by the province, but they're actually attending post-secondary, so college or university studies. So in these cases, custodianship is, it's discretionary, so it depends on how old the student is. So a lot of the time, students will find themselves being 16 or 17 going to university or college. And so Immigration Canada doesn't always require that you provide proof of custodian for these students. My advice is really to consider where the student is going to be living and how old the student is and how they'll live their daily life. A student who's 18 going to a university and is going to live in a dorm in a province where the age of majority is 19 probably can get away without having a custodian. Whereas if the child is 16 in that same province where they need to be 19 to be considered the age of majority, I would definitely consider appointing a custodian for said student. As you can see, study permits for minors in Canada are definitely affected by where the parents are, the parents' status in Canada, if any, and the level of education, so whether they're attending elementary or secondary school, so elementary or high school, or if they're going to be attending a post-secondary institution. For answers regarding your specific case, you can visit our website and contact us. We're at calvartimmigrationservices.com.